Quick Tune, yeah, I already beat you to that one. I didn't
Pandora
say that. Quick Tune, Pandora, wireless equipment.
RF remote.
Is it Pandora or is it Heart Radio?
iHeart and Pandora.
So as you can see, we could probably continue to go on and on and on as far as hotspots to DirecTV. The reason why I said this is like the whole piece of steak here, and if we tried to tell the customer everything that DirecTV is capable of doing for them, before we talk about the next step, which is the close and the price, they're probably going to tell us what?
I gotta think about it.
I got to think about it. And they're not lying. They're honestly telling the truth. That's a lot of really great information. Let me take all of that home and let me go think about it because it was just too much at one time. So I want to make sure that I'm picking out, when I fact find over here, I'm picking out those 4 or maybe 5 things that they're going to love about DirecTV and why they should want to upgrade. So the next part is I'm going to move into our price. And after I give them our price, I close asking for the business.
Full retail.
Full retail. So I want to make sure that I'm delivering the price second year and letting them know what it actually takes to get in the home. So in order to close somebody, there's some things that you have to tell them. So you want to make sure that you're talking about the equipment cost, startup cost. So, well, equipment, this is it. Equipment is the equipment and startup. Installation, and the 24-month agreement. So in order for me to truly ask for the business, I need to let them know this equipment is going to be $600 worth of equipment that would be waived as far as coming on board as a new customer. So what we would do is bring you on board. It would be $1 to get started, depending. Is it still $9 and cents?
Yeah.
$19.95 to get started. The installation, we give you a standard professional installation included, and the only thing that DirecTV's ever asked for is a 24-month agreement. How does that sound? And then we ask for the business, and we wait for a response, because at this point, what happens if they say, yeah, that sounds great, let's go ahead and do it? Well, I would want to, because we're going to get one of a few responses. We're either going to get a yes. So if they tell me yes, what do you think we should do?
Close.
Shut up and go right to ad check. Great. What's your name? What's your number? Let me go ahead and get you put into the system. A more common response is a nah, you know.
Aren't you supposed to tell them I still got like 5 lines on my presentation that you haven't heard yet?
It sounds great. You know, are you here tomorrow? Do you have a card? I'll go home and talk to my wife, whatever it may be. Or there's another response that's, no, you know what? That's just absolutely not going to work for me. I'm moving in 3 months. I had DirecTV 2 months ago. Can I have it back? No. I don't have $19.95 on my debit or credit card. I'd love to do. I don't even have a debit or credit card. No. Right? So there's a lot of things that it would no and go. Let them go. Spend your time with quality people. Find the ones that are actually interested. But the more common response is the nah. You know what? I'm just kind of not ready right now. And so this is where, if I've done a really good job in my presentation, and if in my mind it makes sense on why they should want to switch over to DirecTV, then I should have enough courage to ask why. And how I'm going to ask why, there's a little process to this. First, I want to indifference. Hey, I completely understand. And I like to start off with a little pat on my chest, like, hey, I know you're not ready to switch over to DirecTV. Not many members come in thinking that they're going to be upgrading their system, getting all this great stuff. However, so after I've indifferenced, however, if you don't mind me asking, what would stop you from making this upgrade today? Maybe I point out a few things. What would stop you from getting a full home DVR setup that can record 5 shares versus sticking with the setup that you have right now? And then what we call it is the pregnant pause, where you just kind of pause, and wait, and you look them dead in the eye. This is where my smiles go away. This is where we're getting serious, because now we're getting down to business.
But you want to stay indifferent.
Yeah.
Because once you make it seem like you need this more than they need this, it becomes now you're trying to close them, and you put pressure on yourself. So your indifference is key at this point, right? So when you talk about you don't want to be like, well, I mean, why wouldn't you want to do this? Like, why, obviously we're upgrading your home. You're getting a DVR now. I mean, what,
But do you hear what he just did? He said, but why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you want to do this? Look at what we're giving you. We're doing this. We're doing that.
When you take that approach,
the reverse process. You need to make sure that you deliver the information, then you ask a question and you wait for their response. You don't ask a question, then talk more, and then expect them to answer. Because
they'll get defensive. Once they have it in their mind that they're like not moving forward, and you take that salesy approach and that you get a little bit aggressive, now their wall comes up, their ears are closed, it doesn't matter what you say, they're just trying to think, how can I get up out of here? Because now he's making me uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. You're backing me in a corner versus letting me decide on which way I want to go. What were you going to say?
I had 2 customers walk to me yesterday and they go, I would really love your guys' service, but I travel a lot. Like I got an RV. Is there any way you guys can hook me up? I haven't had the answer to it.
So they only have an RV?
They travel on the RV a lot.
But do they have a house where they could activate service?
No.
No, we don't do RVs. Yeah, it's just one of those situations where that is a customer where it's not a no, that's just a no. And I just need to mark that on my TPCs is, hey, I had a customer, they were so close. I mean, I asked for the business, but turns out they live in an RV, so I was not able to acquire an account number. They're just part of my law of averages.
But just so we can hear it, let's say they do have an address. Why don't you explain that?
Yeah, so if they do have an address, I would install the equipment at the home address, and then I would recommend the mobile application. They can add boxes, part of an RV account separately with DirecTV afterwards.
They have like a tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a tailgate package that they
We
offer.
can't install their RV because we only do a residential account, but now that you have your residential account, you have access to mobile service.
You can go to directtv.com, type in DirecTV for travelers, like in Google, and it'll pull up. They
have it at the Camp World or whatever it's called, where they sell RVs. They
It's like an automatic find a satellite.
But when you guys get to this point, obviously this is where, for us, we get nervous, maybe we felt, they were following us through the whole process, and then they get to here and they're like, no, you gotta almost expect them to say no. Right, their first no. And this is why it's important to close on full retail price, because they give you guys obviously resources and things that you can use to sweeten up the deal, which he's going to talk about in a second. But when I get to this point, right, they're going to be like, well, and if they give you an objection, you don't have to ask why, because they've given you an objection. So if they told you their objection, you're not going to. So why wouldn't you want to do this? If they told you, right? If they do not tell you, then you ask why, right? And then you just be like, well, let me finish my point. I'll get you right now. The way I ask is, oh, absolutely. No, we understand you didn't, come in the store looking for a DirecTV today, and understand the difference between an objection and a pre-programmed response. So I got to think about it as a pre-programmed response. That's not a real objection. A real objection is I don't want the satellite in my house. I don't like 2-year contracts. I had DirecTV before and the price went up or whatever. Maybe that's a real objection. I got to think about it. Are you going to be here tomorrow? Do you have a card? These are pre-programmed response. You got to identify what's the real objection, right? So you want to draw that out, right? So you'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Now, as far as what we talked about, the biggest difference that you're going to see is now instead of having 2 boxes, now you'll have 4. Instead of your box saying Cox, it'll now say DirecTV. You can record now in your bedroom, like you said you and your wife like to do. But let me ask you, as far as everything we went over today, what's really holding you back from moving forward today, Nate?
Well, I've had him before in the customer service.
I'm pulling out his objection. Yep. I asked him why, but I didn't get nervous and be like, well, Nate, it makes sense. You see my approach? Now it's still their decision. I'm not backing them in a corner. But I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's accurate info. It's spot on. So indifference, I understand. Rehash, where he's talking about, hey, basically the only difference that you're going to see, just letting them know it's practically the same. Why are we not doing this? They give me their reason, and once they give me their reason, we have a rebuttal for every objection. You had a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like sorry. He's like, yeah, what am I chopping?
That's
Sorry.
why I was-
I was on my point.
What
Go
I,
ahead.
think, what I think people overlook sometimes, and what I do is I make sure I pay attention to the body language throughout the whole time.
Yep.
And I think people don't look at that. Like you just focused on trying to pitch a person, but if you
We're
look,
thinking of the next thing you're
you
gonna
try
say.
to joke, right? Or you mention a feature, and they're like, I can do, right?
Whoa.
You got to live in that, right?
And then you
it's
grab
weird,
that
right?
one.
And grab it, and then make that come completely alive, right? Because that's something that's going to gravitate them towards buying. Also, if like one time I said a joke or I said a feature and she took her coat off and then hung it onto the.
Yeah, makes you
got
comfortable.
I got it.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm gonna be here for a while now.
She took her coat off. She said, "Oh, put it on the cart," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
So reading and recognizing body language is key. You know, a lot of times we're so focused, like you said, on what we're gonna say or the next thing we're gonna say that we don't listen or we're not watching what they're like, how they're responding to what we're saying. Right. Part of what's gonna help you be confident in a situation is really understanding and knowing the process. Right? Because what happens is that sometimes we get put in a position where maybe we've heard an objection that we're not familiar with, or maybe they're not, you know, they're responding to us in a manner that we don't know how to get them to cross over, right? So we become nervous, you know, we get like, you know, and maybe you tell a joke out of nervousness and it's not the right time, right? And you're like, it's just wrong, right? So, you know, the more confident that you are in your information, right? The more, you know the process. Because you know, like, once we get to this point, now, like, you take pressure off yourself at this point, right? Well, the reason why we utilize this process is because we want you to close on full retail price, because if you give them everything at once, now you're putting pressure on you to close them. Because you've given them everything that you have to offer, now you're relying on your game. If you utilize this process, when you get to this point and they tell you no, you're going to be like, oh, I know how to handle this. You're going to be like, okay, I'm just going to go rehash their hotspots, overcome their objection, sweeten up the deal, go back for the close. Rehash the hotspots, overcome the objection, sweeten up the deal, go back for the close, right? It's just like, you're not relying on your game. It's just a system. It's a process. I know how to handle this. And then every time you go back for the close, you sweeten up the deal. $300 gift card. You know, first year discount, NFL Sunday ticket, whatever it may be, right? Sorry, I don't wear my little straps today, Paige. Sorry, Paige looking at me like, come on, man. Right? I know they're about to put on. I gotta get used to it. Every day I don't wear them, so I gotta use them. So if you guys really learn this process and you really take this information. When you go out into the field, and you memorize the rebuttals, you know what to say with the rebuttals, you know how to do this process. Now you're not putting pressure on you, you're putting pressure. This is what we're talking about, put pressure on the system. Right?
So it really should be, what I'm hearing, it should be a response like programmed into the
program.
question. So when the question is,
I know this to like back of my brain. I know when he says certain things, it's not like I'm not some crazy closer. And I don't mean to cut you off, but exactly.
Right. Just know where I'm going.
I know where because if you know the system and you're confident in this, you're not nervous. Tell me how nervous it gets when you get to that point. And you're like, damn, I had him. What happened?
Where'd it go?
Where'd it go? I had him. You know, you're like, damn, and you're like, okay, I got to become a better closer. No, just learn the process. Just if you guys can get familiar with this and you can really understand, you'll become confident. You'll be like, dude, that's the best you got, customer? Come on. Like, that's the best you got? Like, that's the confidence I go into the field with, he goes into the field with, because we know this like the back of our hand. Orlando's not like, he's good, but he just is good at putting processes in place and just executing them. That's it. Like, all he does is like a machine, like a program. He just implements it, closing circle. When I go out there, it's like a machine. I go out there, they tell you your objection, overcome the objection, rehash the hotspots, speed up the deal, go back to the close.
It becomes part of your passive thinking. You know, the difference between passive thinking and active thinking. You know, when you're actively thinking about what to say, you're not focused on other things like the importance of body language.
Body language.
Talking about when they're giving you an objection, I'm already knowing I have a couple other ways to sweeten up the deal, so I'm not focused on what I'm going to say next. You know, it's like brushing your teeth. When you brush your teeth, you're not thinking about taking the toothpaste, putting on the toothbrush, putting it in your mouth. You're thinking about what you're going to wear, how you're going to get to work. The other things, you're not passive. You're passively thinking about brushing your teeth. This process should become passive
Second
thinking.
nature.
It's like breathing.
You should
Second
be able
nature.
to read and
Who can drive
recognize
stick
your
in
body
here?
language and hear how their tonality
Who can drive
is.
a manual car, right? All right, so has anybody tried to drive a manual car?
No.
It's very challenging, right? I'm old school. Everybody's like, manual car, what's that, right? So back in the day, you got the pressure. Back in the day, they had cars where it wasn't automatic, right? So you had to change the gears, right? So you got to change gears. When I first learned how to drive stick shift, it's a perfect point, and I use this analogy all the time. You had to think about pressing the clutch down, putting it in first gear, you know, letting the clutch go at the same time so the gas so it doesn't stall. You got to actively think about what you were doing, right? If you didn't do it correctly, what happened? It's like pop the clutch, right? You start popping the car, stutter, you know, it shut down and whatnot, right? So now, you know, when you're driving stick shift, those of you who have been driving it for a while, you can like talk on the phone, drive with your knee. You know, girls, you can be doing your makeup, right? All while driving stick shift. You're not even thinking about switching gears. You're not like, you know, and it's constant, like, constant motion because you're either upshifting or you're downshifting or you're pressing the clutch. It's not like you're you just put in a gear and you go, right? So my point is that you gotta be unconsciously conscious of what you're doing.
That's good.
Right? You're unconsciously conscious of what you're doing, right? To Allison's point. Sorry about that. It's just I'm breaking this down so you guys really understand the process. Because if you guys understand, now you're like you don't have to worry about being a salesman because you just go out there and you learn this, and then everything ties together, and then the results will be there.
But isn't that the true essence of putting the pressure on the system rather than yourself?
100%. This is what we talk about.
So now we've overturned their objection by giving our rebuttal. So whatever they gave me, so they said, no, I'll think about it. Hey, I know you want to think about it. Everybody wants to think about it. Look at what we're able to do for you. Why would you want to think about it right now? What's stopping you from doing this today? Well, I heard in cloudy days like this that it goes out in the weather. Well, I completely understand why you would think that way. However, as you can see, it's cloudy out today. This is live direct TV. We're in every sports bookie on the strip. You know, we're up in JetBlue. Signal reliability is truly a non-issue any longer. So now that I've
rehash.
rehash.
I'm like,
I was trying to talk at the same time. So now that I've overturned his objection, so whatever they gave me, I just overturned their objection with my rebuttal. So now it gives me the right to move on in the conversation. You don't want to do it because it goes out in the weather. Well, it doesn't actually go out in the weather any longer. I told you that, whatever. Look at what we're actually doing for you today. Instead of, now I've brushed that objection aside, look at what you're actually getting. You're getting, and like Morel said, we're going to focus on what was that thing that they were gleaming about before I moved on to the price. It was the on-demand. They loved the on-demand. They loved the home DVR. And they loved the fact that it was the sports, whatever it was. The three things. And look at what we're doing for you that you're not getting now. So you rehash. Then you rebate them. But wait. There's more. I can't believe I totally forgot to tell you. You said you love sports. Who was your football team again? And so now I'm going to give them something to bite onto. So not only are you going to get that, now we're also going to be able to toss in, let's say you go ahead and give away the NFL. And then we move back into the close. We ask for, so now that you're getting all of that, what's going to be the best day that works good for you guys? When's a day where you and your wife would be available? Really, we've made this process so simple because all we need is your basic info right here inside of this Costco approved application. What's your first name? Start punching it in for them. And then what's going to happen is they're either going to say one of two things. You know what, Aaron? That sounds fantastic. Put my name in that ad check. Or what's another thing that they're going to say? Well, you know. What did they say before? No, it still sounds good, but I don't know if I'm still ready yet. So, and I know you're not ready. We're going through this process again. So now I'm gauge checking them. I'm going to say, hey, I know you're not ready. We're giving you the Sunday ticket. We're giving you the upgrade. But really, what is it that's stopping you from making this upgrade for you and your family?
What if they give you the same objection?
If they give me the same objection, I know that it's the real objection. You know, I just have to go home and talk to my wife. And I already tried to tell him, well, it's this simple. We don't have to worry. We took care of all of her channels. She's going to love the new system. Yeah, but if I go home with this new thing and I didn't tell her about it, there isn't going to be an installation, right? So maybe that is his real objection. So if they give it to me multiple times over and over, that's now I'll let him go. But if he gives me a different reason, so the first one was, I heard stuff that goes out in the weather. Well, you know, I heard about their customer service. Now he brings up customer service. Now he brings up...
So this is where you got to read body language, right? Because this is where you got to decide quality time, quality people, right? The person that's, you know, you give them, you know, you overcome one objection, then they give you another. Then you overcome that objection, then they give you another. Then you give another objection, then they give you another. Right? Are they wasting your time, or are they asking because they have legitimate questions? You know, because sometimes there is that customer that has 1,000,001 questions, and you got to take the time to answer them. Miss Johnson, she needs to know, you know, all these things, and you really have to be thorough with her. Yeah, that's, you know, you're gonna work for the sale, right? But is this person, you know, just gonna ask you all those questions and then tell you no? Our job is to maintain our attitude, right? So you got to read and recognize, you know, are they, you know, trying to, you know, just waste my time? Or is this somebody who has legitimate questions I have to answer, right? And, you know, you're going over the objections, you're going over the closing circle, and you're going through the process or whatnot.
And I think so many of us, this is the opportunity, or this right here, the rebates. So many of us, if you had to think of, okay, out of all the things that we mentioned in here, what's a rebate?
300.
Okay, what else?
First year discount.
What else? See, you guys are only focused on money as being a rebate. Well, if a customer told me that they're into the tennis channel, the first time we go over the hot spots, I don't want to overwhelm your brain with the tennis mosaic, how you can watch every match. You won't miss a single serve. You can read biographies about tennis players. You can keep up on all your favorite tennis players through the entire tournament. I don't want to overwhelm their brain with that. I want to talk about the simple stuff, the DVR whole home, 5 shows versus 2, the simple stuff, HD for every room. And then I want to move into the price. And then later on, I pull out their objection. They tell me what's stopping them. I say, look at how awesome this is. Oh, yeah. And Thomas, you said you love tennis? Who's your favorite tennis player?
Without better.
Yeah, why? You got to be Djokovicing me. No, I'm messing, man. I'm messing. So this is
Stolen.
Woo, got him. But now, did you know that AT&T owns DirecTV? When you watch those tennis tournaments, you see the DirecTV, AT&T Globe everywhere because they sponsor this entire event. The benefit of switching over to DirecTV, now you're not going to miss a single serve. I'm not Djokovicing you. So now I use the tennis mosaic as what? A rebate. You said you love movies. Hey, you said you love movies. Oh my goodness. Did you know DirecTV has one of the largest on-demand libraries available, not only inside of your home, but also outside, because you said you travel a lot?
Yeah.
Man, we're starting today. You're going to have access to DirecTV Live on your cell phone, tablet, laptop, be logged in up to 5 devices. How awesome would that be?
Really awesome, man.
Really, all we would need to get this going today, and we get the process going. Well, you know, I just don't know. Well, look, we're giving you the mobile app. We're doing this. We're doing that. What's stopping you from making this upgrade today? Well, you know, I don't know what's stopping me. Now we're getting down to, because how many times have we gone through this now? 2, 3. Often what happens is when you think about the conversation flow, this is from hello, intro. This is my short story, to read and recognize, break the ice, to tell them who I am and what I'm doing, to get them over so I can build the impulse with the prezo. And what do we always do at the peak of impulse? So when they're the most excited, we should ask for the business. But what always happens when we close, what 95% of the time, what happens? No, nah. What's a nah?
Impulse drop.
The impulse drop. Well, think about it. How do we re-excite them? We rehash and rebate. And then we close again, because now they're like, what? You do the NFL? So they're a little bit more excited than what they were before, but they're not ready. What happens? We go back to nah, because they fizzle out. Well, think about it. And then I rehash and rebate them with something more awesome. Repeak that impulse, and I close again. What you're going to find is there's going to be 3 or 4 closes on a customer who didn't come in with the anticipation to switch their TV service. They've been with Cox for 15 plus years. Why should they want to switch with you today? Because you took the time to massage it and to find out what are the things that they're going to love about this new system, this new setup. Not just trying to feed them a whole slab of steak. I'm cutting it up into these bite-sized pieces. I didn't deliver everything on the first. I didn't take all of this and dump it right here. I'm sprinkling it.
Salt.
Right?
I'm sprinkling it along the way to make it more appealing to the customer. I'm finding those things that they're going to love about the switch.
The analogy I used when he talked about, doing this over here is like, you're playing darts and you're throwing darts in the dark.
Literally.
So you're closing your eyes and you're like,
and you just hit them
throw
in
it
the
and
head.
you're trying, and every once in a while you're gonna get it. Every once in a while. And that's the worst thing that you can do is do it yourself or show somebody, hey, this is how I do it. Because you're missing a whole bunch of customers because you're puking on them. Go ahead, sorry.
Quickly. You've been running the office 7 years, right?
Yeah.
How long you been in Vegas?
4.
4 years. There was somebody here before you, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting to is, they've heard this spill over and over and over and over again. They've seen you a million times. They know you're there. When people look like this and they walk in, doing their grocery shopping, they know you're standing right there. They'll see you a million times. And I'm pretty sure some of you got customers that come up to you like, oh, you heard what Costco's doing for their members or Sam's Club, whatever the case may be.
Here's $1 gift card, right?
Yeah, $1 gift card, right?
I'm paying less than $130.
The reason I'm saying this is because for whatever reason, they stop to talk to you at that moment in time for a specific reason. All you got to do is just figure it out, what it is. Everybody doesn't care about recording. Some old people hate recording. You'll lose a deal. Some people don't care about the $300 gift card. It's not for them. They're rich. Doesn't matter. Everybody has a different reason. Everybody has a different reason. You find the hot spot. You figure out exactly what they're talking about. And 9 times out of 10, you'll close them. I look at everybody that comes to that table, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to close you.
That's where, you got to have the confidence in the system. your information. If you take all these things that we tell you to do. So the common reasons why people sign up with DirecTV, right? all the hot spots, right? So the types of questions that you ask to draw this information out, right? The common problems that our competitors have. Whether it be, Cox, the fact that you guys know, you really understand how their system works. Right? They have a satellite just like us, right? Their satellite somewhere in the city, right? And they have miles and miles of wire that's spread out throughout Vegas, and the system is shared with everybody, right? One signal is shared throughout the whole city. They have boosters and technology that they use to amplify the system, but overall, you're not getting a direct signal, so in turn, your picture quality is, is out. The new system that they offer, the Contour, right? What's common things that you hear about the Contour?
On demand.
Right? No. They like complaints. Some people either they love it or they hate it. Right? Contour, because it requires more feeds, right? Because you can, you can record up to 5 or 6 things. It requires more tuners. Now, keep in mind, before they were having issues with their old tuner and the information being transferred. Just think about the wires, right? It's a bunch of wires, a lot of information being transferred. When everybody's getting on their systems, come peak hours, 5 o'clock, kids are getting home from school, parents are getting home from work, they're hopping on the internet, they're watching TV, they're using their phone. A lot of information is being transferred, right? Now you got this big system that requires more bandwidth, right? The Contour requires more bandwidth. So whereas before they were already having problems, now they're putting in this upgraded system that requires more, and they're still not getting the pull that they need. So common complaints you guys hear is, oh, we set things to record, and when we go back to watch them, they're all black, or we set things to record, and the mouth and the TV doesn't line up, or it pixels out. You hear these things, right? Being educated, and oh, you have the concert, oh, you guys experiencing the glitching and freezing and being able to, understand your information is going to obviously create a conversation and allow you to cater and utilize the system properly or whatnot, right? So just being confident, like knowing this process, like the closing circle, and just when you go out there, you be like, okay, when they tell you your first no, be like, oh, I know they're gonna tell me no. Eddie told me they're gonna tell me no. I know what to do there, so I'm gonna.
If they don't say no, be worried. It's fee pay.
If it's too easy, right? It's a fee pay. The flag or fee pay.
Why are you saying yes so fast? How long ago did you have this?
Yeah.
You have it at home right now? What is it?
Hold on. You just got it, right?
Does anybody have any questions?
That's funny.
No? Do you guys want to give like an objection maybe that you guys have heard, or you guys have a challenge overcoming, maybe to Aaron, and then have him utilize this in real time to show you how he would overcome the objection or how he would implement it? Go ahead.
What if they don't feel comfortable giving out their credit card information?
They don't feel comfortable, so that's where you gotta make them feel comfortable. Like honestly, like you're gonna have those customers that aren't really comfortable. Go ahead.
So I completely understand you're not comfortable giving out your credit card. One thing that you can rest assured is that Costco has brought us in to make sure that we're protecting the members. So all of your information that's given over to the call center, it's encrypted. Anybody who is involved in taking your information is background checked and make sure that they are doing right by your information. We sign up thousands of customers on a national basis. We're in every Costco nationally. So I can be 100% confident that if you were to give your information that you can feel confident that it wouldn't be jeopardized. And one thing that Costco has done to make sure that you feel comfortable with this process is here. You see this